Hello, and welcome back to the 𝐓𝐡𝐢𝐬 podcast, where we help women with autoimmune disease reduce flares, rebuild their energy, and reconnect to the deeper wisdom of their bodies so they can stop canceling plans and finally trust themselves to show up fully for their lives. I'm Holly B. I'm a holistic health coach, autoimmune thriver, and someone who knows that healing isn't just about what you know, it's also about how you live. So, over the last few episodes, we've gone really deep. We've been talking about rebuilding trust with your body. We've explored the hidden grief that often comes with chronic illness. And we've also simplified healing into three foundational shifts that support going towards remission. But today, I want to bring this down to real life. Because if you've ever wondered what you're actually supposed to be doing each day to support autoimmune healing, this is the episode that I wish that I had when I was first diagnosed. For a long time, I thought that healing meant doing everything perfectly with, the right supplements, the right routine, the right protocols. But the truth is, the way I was living day to day was actually keeping my body stuck in a cycle of flares and fatigue. And it wasn't really until I started changing how my days looked that things started to actually shift for me. So today I'm going to walk you through what a real healing day looks like for me. It's not a perfect routine, but it's what actually supports my energy and supports my nervous system and my ability to stay out of flare cycles. Because one of the questions that I get most often is, what does this actually look like in a day-to-day routine? Not just in theory, not in a perfect routine, but in real life when your energy is unpredictable and you're trying to balance your healing with everything else that's on your plate. So if you've ever wondered, am I doing enough to heal? What should my days actually look like? Or why does it feel so hard to stay consistent? You're not alone. And by the end of this episode, you'll have a clear, realistic picture of what a healing day can look like and how to start building a rhythm that supports your body instead of working against it. Let's dive in. So, this question, what does self care for autoimmune actually look like in real life, is so important to address. Because it's one thing to hear about nervous system regulation or healing shifts, but it's another thing to actually live it when you're tired, overwhelmed, or in a flare state. I think that a lot of women assume that healing has to look perfect, like an influencer on Instagram or some super rigid and structured routine, or like you're doing everything right all the time. So today I want to walk you through what a healing day actually looks like for me. And I'm not walking you through a perfect day. I'm just going to walk you through a real day. This isn't about teaching you to copy my routine. I want you to remember that healing is very individualized. And when I work with my clients, we look at your lifestyle as it currently is. And then we figure out how to optimize your routine within the constructs that you're working with. This conversation is really more about implementing the principles of self care. It's not about creating perfection, it's about allowing flexibility in your self care routine. And that flexibility is a part of the healing process. Everything that I'm going to talk about is really grounded in those three healing shifts that we talked about a couple of episodes ago, which is regulating your system, listening to your body, and protecting your energy. So, how do I start my day? What is my morning routine? We always start with regulation first before we dive into the hecticness of our day. I always start with prayer and gratitude in bed as soon as I wake up before my feet actually hit the ground. I have to set that baseline of getting my energy and my mindset on point before I start anything else with my day. After that, I go straight to hydration. I do some electrolytes with my water and I take some supplements. And then I go straight outside and I get some morning light exposure into my eyes before I look at any screens and before I turn on any overhead lights. Then I do a short yoga, gentle stretch routine, sometimes a strength routine, depending on my energy for that morning. I'll follow that up with an herbal tea, non-caffeinated, and breakfast with quality protein, fat, and maybe some fruit or vegetables. So when I wake up, I'm not immediately jumping to what do I need to get done today? I'm asking myself very intentionally, what does my body need today? This really helps your morning routine set the tone for your nervous system for the day by prioritizing the self care, the mindset, the energy balancing before we move into the to do list and the screens. It's so important in the morning to avoid the stimulation of the cell phones, the emails, the phone calls, avoiding that stress before we implement some of the nervous system regulation.
Really quick, Holly B here. I just wanted to interrupt the podcast to ask you for a quick favor. Can you take just a moment to like and subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you are listening in on? It makes a world of a difference. And the reach of this podcast, it takes like literally under 10 seconds. So go do that right now. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And now back to the episode.
Midday, we're talking about energy management and allowing for flexibility. I know this is where people struggle the most, and I certainly have found myself struggling here as well. Before I was implementing some of these self-care routines, and before I was really being conscious about the awareness of where my energy levels were throughout the day. So during the day, I'm intentionally working in focused time blocks. And that's going to vary, of course, depending on what your day looks like, whether you work a 9 to 5, whether you are a stay at home mom, whether you run your own business. All of that comes into play, but we can always figure out how to intentionally work in time blocks to help with focus rather than just trying to stretch out 4 hours of work and just trying to plug through the whole time and wear yourself out. If we do intentional time blocks, that helps to preserve our mental energy and our physical energy by working in, say, 20 to 45-minute time blocks, taking a little breather, and then starting another time block. Hydrating throughout the day is extremely important to keep our energy levels up. It keeps our electricity going in the body so that we can keep the lights turned on, essentially, and keep that stamina, keep that energy going. I very intentionally take breaks before I hit exhaustion, before that fatigue really smacks me in the face. So that took a lot of time for me to start to recognize uh, what the signals were that I was getting towards exhaustion so that I could intentionally learn how to take those focused breaks before reaching that point. So, taking breaks for me looks like standing. If I'm assuming I'm doing work sitting down, most of the work I do is sitting down. So, standing up, taking breaks throughout the day to stretch, to do some squats, to do some calf raises, to do some subtle stretching, do a little bit of walking, getting outside for some fresh air and non filtered daylight is so important in keeping your circadian rhythm on point and letting your body know what time of day it is. It knows that it's midday, so now it knows where your hormones should be, what systems should be functioning in the body at that given time. And I always take a little walk on my lunch break when I am at the office. Otherwise, when I'm working at home, I'll, like I say, get outside and do some grounding. But at the office, I always get out and take a few laps around the complex so that I am getting up and moving because I do so much more sitting when I'm here at the office. Flexibility comes in here where we need to allow ourselves to adjust our routine based on our energy. In other words, instead of forcing yourself through, like I was talking about earlier, trying to do like a whole 4-hour stretch of work, instead of forcing yourself through that, no matter how big your to do list is, you will get so much more done and you'll have so much more effective energy if you take these breaks and if you structure them as needed based on how you're feeling versus just trying to get through, and then fully crash at the end. Eating consistently is really important for energy levels and stamina. We want to make sure, again, that we're focusing on protein, quality protein, preferably animal protein. Vegetable protein is fine as well, but I highly recommend that we're getting some good quality animal protein in. It is just so much more absorbable than any other type of protein. Quality fat as well, and focusing on just whole foods. So, actual vegetables, actual fruit, rather than something that's processed. Also, keeping the refined carbohydrates on the low end, as well as refined sugars on the very low end, if any at all. Sugar will just eat up your energy like it's nothing. You can see how the things that I listed are really simple, just working in focused time blocks, taking stretch breaks, walk breaks, getting out for fresh air, eating quality food for lunch, not working through and ignoring food, right? Making sure you're getting nourished, hydrated, and just allowing yourself to have flexibility in your schedule for low energy days versus high energy days. I'm also a huge fan of taking a midday nap. That could be literally a 15 or 20-minute nap, but intentionally allowing my body to completely rest, close my eyes, put on some binaural beats to calm my system, and just fully sink into that rest makes a huge difference in how I get through the rest of my day. If I push on through when I need a nap, it's a struggle. The whole day is a struggle and nothing is as effective. So, one of the biggest shifts for me was stopping before I crashed. My old pattern would be to push through, crash, and expect a flare of symptoms. But the new pattern, the one that I want you to work towards, is doing a check in with myself, check in with yourself and your energy, adjust your routine as needed, and expect to have a more sustainable energy. I'm actually really curious right now, as you're listening to this, what part of creating a self care routine or a healing day routine feels the hardest for you right now? Is it knowing what to do, but struggling to stay consistent with it? Is it feeling too exhausted to keep up with any kind of routine at all? Or maybe you feel like you're doing everything right, but you're still experiencing flares. If you're watching this on YouTube, I would love it if you would let me know in the comments what it is that you're struggling with, because I do read every single comment and it really helps me understand where you guys are at and what you need more support with so I can create more content along those lines for you. This is really important. I just want to reemphasize this. My days do not all look the same, and you shouldn't expect yours to either. On lower energy days, I'm reducing my expectations of what I can get done. I am focusing on the essential tasks and putting the rest aside and calling it a win if I get those essentials done.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in here and interrupt the program for just a hot minute. You know that I'm so passionate about this podcast, but what I'm also really passionate about is helping women with lupus minimize their symptoms, boost their energy so that they can indulge in life again. So if you are a woman who is struggling with lupus, who is sick and tired of being sick and tired, who's struggling to manage your flares, If you're finding that your lupus symptoms are just really getting in the way of you being able to live your life the way you want to, I feel you. I've been there myself and I felt the same way. And what I've found is that there are a certain set of health fundamentals that, once applied, will support you in your foundational health. They will support you in building and maintaining that energy, minimizing flares, and allowing you to again indulge in life and follow your passions. So, if that is something that you are interested in creating for yourself, let's jump on a call together. I will walk you through the process that I use with my clients to get them from sick and tired to strong foundation of health by implementing my Health Bridge protocol. If this is something you're interested in chatting more about, I would love to talk to you. Apply for a free clarity call with me, and I look forward to getting to know you soon. And now back to the episode.
And I am prioritizing rest without guilt. That was one of the hardest things for me to learn to do, but I promise it can be done. On my higher energy days, I am still intentionally not overdoing it. That also was hard. I know that you, I'm sure, relate to that if you struggle with chronic fatigue. When you have those good days, you just want to go, go, go and make up for lost time. But I want you to start recognizing the signals that you are doing too much and use the tools that you have to stay regulated and hold yourself back just a little bit so that you can keep your nervous system in that safety mode. Healing really isn't about having more good days. I know that sounds surprising. What it's really about is responding differently on the hard days. So in the evening, we want to have a routine there as well so that we can start to down regulate and keep that nervous system in safety mode so we have a good quality night's sleep. We're talking about slowing down any form of stimulation. So gentle routines, possibly doing some journaling or reflecting or writing out, doing like a brain dump of your tasks and things that you need to remember so they get out of your head and onto paper so that you can sleep without startling yourself awake, trying to remember all the things that you have to do tomorrow. Keeping the lights low and keeping your screens red at night will do wonders for your circadian rhythm. In the evenings, once the sun is down, you want to keep those overhead lights off or low if possible, and preferably, if you can, using physically lower lights. So, lights that maybe are a lamp on a table versus an overhead chandelier or something like that, because it just signals to your body that the sun is lower versus noon, high noon with the sun right overhead. And try not to use the blue filtered lights. You want yellow or red lights, if at all possible. Anything that's warm, you want those warm tones coming in. And as far as screens, with your computer and your cell phone, you can find apps that are either free or cheap to intentionally red your screen out so you're not getting the blue light. It's filtering those blue lights out so that that blue light is not stimulating your nervous system. It's stimulating your circadian rhythm and telling it that it's high noon when it's actually 9 o'clock at night, right? Also, screens off an hour before bedtime has a huge impact on your quality of sleep, and going to bed at a consistent time is really, really nourishing for your nervous system. Remember that your body heals when it feels safe enough to repair. If we can remove the body from the fight or flight, your body can rest and repair. So, consistent sleep really supports your body's sense of safety. And to get consistent sleep, we really need to work on that evening hygiene. So, when you look at what I just went over, when you look at what a healing day looks like for me, it's really nothing extreme. It's a few things in the morning that I implement to regulate my nervous system, get hydrated, have some supplementation and quality nutrition. During the day, it's just working in time blocks and having flexibility so that I can get up, stretch, move my body a little bit, get outside, get a little bit of fresh air, take a nap if I need to. And in the evening, just concentrate on winding down slowly so that your nervous system can go into bed feeling calm and collected and ready to rest and repair as soon as you close your eyes. So, we're looking at just regulation. We're looking at listening to our bodies. We're looking at creating boundaries if there's things that are going to push us past our limits. And we're looking at flexibility in our schedule. If there's one thing that I want you to take away from this episode, it's that healing isn't built in perfect routines. It's built in really small, consistent moments of listening to your body and adjusting when needed and creating a sense of safety in your system day by day. There's really no one perfect healing day. It's going to vary for every person and it might vary day by day. But when you start prioritizing regulation and honoring your energy and responding to your body instead of pushing past it, you will start to shift. You'll begin to feel more stable. You'll begin to feel more supported, and you will start trusting yourself more. And that is where the real healing will start. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I understand this, but I don't actually know how to implement it consistently, that's exactly where support can make the biggest difference. So I invite you to apply for a free healing breakthrough session with me, which is where we'll look at what your body might be asking for and where you might be stuck in survival mode, and then what your next step towards rebuilding energy and resilience might look like. You'll find the link to apply in the show notes. And if this episode helped you at all, share it with somebody who may need a more realistic, compassionate approach to healing. Your body is not asking for perfection. It's just asking for partnership. I'll see you next time on the Health Bridge podcast.